Has God been nudging you to write a book? Well, if you clicked on this video, I have a feeling that answer is yes. Maybe someone has said to you, hey, you should write a book. And deep down inside, you've been feeling that tug and God's whisper in your ear and Him saying, I need you to share your story because someone's praying for the breakthrough you carry. But then all the questions hit. Where do I start? I'm not qualified. What if nobody reads it? Well, in this video, we're going to uncover what it really means to be called by God to write a book and why that calling often feels scary or even impossible, and how to take your first faithful step toward obedience. Well, in case you don't know me, my name is Shonda Whitworth, and I am a Christian nonfiction writing and self-publishing coach. I help authors conquer overwhelm, finish their manuscript, and release the books that God has called them to write. The New York Times reports that 81% of the people want to write a book, but only 6% ever finish a manuscript and just 1% ever publishes. My mission here is to help you rise into that 1%. So let's dig in, because that nudge that you've been feeling is not random, it's divine. And once you understand why He's calling you to write, you'll never doubt again whether you're qualified to do it. So, don't waste your gifts. You know that God has called you to write a book, but what if you're keeping it hidden, like all the ingredients to a secret family recipe you're just storing in the pantry? Do you realize that someone is waiting to be fed by what God's already taught you? And when God imparts gifts into us, we're to share those gifts with others. Romans 12, verses 6 and 8 talks about how we've all been given different gifts and how we're to use them in the kingdom to edify and build up other believers. So first of all, don't hide the gift that God has placed in you. So it may feel overwhelming, like, well, I don't know what to write about. So one of the first things that I do and that I coach my clients to do, and I'm going to share with you right here in this video, is to take an inventory of your life experiences. God never wastes our pain. And what do I mean by that? What is it that you know how to do? Do you know how to cook? Do you know how to garden? Do you know how to raise children? Do you know how to be a caregiver to a parent? What is it that you know how to do? Or what trials and tribulations have you overcome in your life? For me, one of my first books that I wrote about was Appeal to the Courtroom of Heaven. This book right here, Appeal to the Courtroom of Heaven. And it was because my oldest son, took a left instead of a right and crash landed in prison. And I learned how to pray. I knew how to pray, but I was really diving in and learning how to pray. You have someone you love go to prison, you really start praying. Okay. Whenever we go through something tragic, we really start praying. And so I wrote Appeal to the Courtroom of Heaven for prisoners and other prison families to pray. And that was the pain I went through that God used, that is helping other families now. Because 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3 and 4 says, He comforts us in all of our troubles so that we can comfort others. And so it is so important for us to realize that the things that God has brought us through, He wants us to help others get through it as well. So take time, pause, come back, reflect on this. What is it that you know? Start writing it down in a notebook. Write it all down, get clarity on the things that you know, because I promise you, you know more than you think you know. You're a very smart person. You're smarter than you think you are. Others look up to you when you're looking down on yourself. So take that inventory. Now, the second thing is, what do I start writing about first? All right. So it's like, now you've got all this inventory and now you're looking at this long list of things, and you should have a long list. If you don't have a page full, go back to that step, because you should have a whole page. It doesn't matter if you're 20, 50, or 80, you should have a whole page of experiences. So what do you write about first? What you write about first is the thing that you can talk about the easiest. And here's why. Because the thing that you could talk about is the thing that you can write about. And the thing that you write about, it's important for you to be able to talk about it so that you could post on social media. You can, share and grow an email list, and you can share about the things that you've overcome and or share your insight and wisdom to help others in the thing that you're wanting to help them with your book. And so that is what you write about first. All right, so once you decide what you're going to write about, it's not just sharing, it's about taking the reader through a process. And so you want to take the reader through a transformation process. And what you want to do as you show them this process, you're going to imagine what is the current state of your reader. Oftentimes, the current state of your reader is the same state that you were in before you went through the process. All right. So you think about the current state of the reader and write that down. Then the second part of that is list the steps that it takes you to get through the process. All right. So write those steps down. And then after you write those steps down, what is the reader's life going to look like when they complete these steps or this process? How will their life be transformed? Sometimes it may be easier to do it in reverse order. What will the reader's life look like? What were the steps it took to get there? And then what does the reader look like now? And that was what you looked like before you started the process. And so if you follow this structure for your book, the overall theme will be, what does the reader's look like? What does the reader's life look like when they go through the process? And the steps that it takes to get there is or will be your chapters. And the current state of the reader gives you a picture of who you are writing your book to. All right. So think about that. All right. So that is the process that you share. So there needs to be that process laid out in a format so that the reader can go through it. It's not just randomly sharing your stories. But as we, as believers, begin to step out and follow the call of God, let me tell you that I've heard it said, I believe it's Myron Golden that says this, that disruption follows intention. And this is the way it's been since Genesis chapter 1, that as soon as we set out to do the very thing that the Lord's called us to do, the enemy's going to come and attack our identity and our worth, especially when we're called to be an influence into the lives of others. John 8:44 says that the devil is a liar and he's a father of lies, and he's going to put these lies in our head like, who do you think you are to write a book? You've never written a book before. You didn't pass English. Who are you? You're not even qualified. Well, let me remind you that God equips the called. Okay. He does not call the equipped. He equips the called, and he is equipping you to do this. And I tell people all the time, if you can read, you can write. And so if you read, you write. All right. And if you can talk, you can write, because now we have all these wonderful speech to text devices that we can put together our content. And so dismiss the lies and replace them with the truth. All right. So grab a notebook. On the left side, put the lies of the enemy. On the right side, find a scripture that refutes that lie and start speaking life into yourself. Because when we speak the word of truth, it refutes the enemy and puts him under our feet. All right. I have a whole teaching on that. I can do that later, but just refute the lies and grab hold of the truth that you are called and that this is your assignment. And lastly, I want you to schedule time to actually do the writing. 15 minutes a day is 1% of your day. And if you will start with a discipline of showing up for yourself and for God for 15 minutes a day, you will be well on your way to rising into the 1%. Proverbs 16:3 says, commit your work to the Lord that your plans may be established. All right, so as you step into this discipline and you commit this work to the Lord, He's going to show you fully how to take the next step. God cannot direct our steps if we're not stepping. We must be taking action for Him to direct our steps. If we're just sitting here thinking about it, He's not directing us. But when we start taking action, He's going to direct our steps and He's going to establish the plans, because this is His plan and His calling on your life. So to sum it up, when you put these steps into action, you're going to move from just simply feeling that calling to begin walking out your calling. And that, my friend, is how you will rise into the top 1% of those who say they're going to write a book and actually publish it. You're going to do that through obedience and focus and follow through. Why? Because your story matters. Your obedience could become someone else's breakthrough. If God's called you to write, then it's time to stop second guessing and just say yes to Him. And when you apply the very things that we talked about in this video today, you're not just starting to write your book. You are actually stepping into your kingdom assignment. And that, my friend, is powerful. If you would like more guidance, I would love to walk alongside of you. I've been coaching writers for the last 2 years. You can start your 7-day free trial in the Kingdom Living Writers monthly coaching program. It is month to month. You can cancel anytime. Or if you're wanting more personalized direction, book a complimentary 30-minute author clarity call with me. Okay, this is for nonfiction writers. If you're a nonfiction writer, I would love to meet with you. So just take your next step, because when you say yes to God, He's going to handle the rest. God bless.